do you feel, Jennifer, that the rhino in particular for you is so important to keep? Why?
Why is it important, or why am I so involved in trying to protect it? Different
Yes.
thing.
Yes. So why you so, and what is for you, what stands out for you with the rhino?
Well, for one, I'm from Asia, as you know, born in India, raised in Hong Kong. Firstly, because I'm from Asia, what I was seeing was that something like 90% of all rhinos poached. Poached means murdered, butchered. I mean, when I mean that, they cut their face off, which they don't have to do. 90% of that horn is ending up in Asia. And I just thought this was so, so wrong. So why is the rhino so important to me? And I'm glad you asked the question, because I was at a dinner party maybe 6 months ago, and someone said, well, I live without the dodo bird in my life. Why does it matter if the rhino goes extinct and we're heading that way? And I'll tell you why it matters. The rhino is something we call an apex herbivore, same as an elephant. It means it's a mega herbivore, or we would call it a keystone species or an umbrella species. That means that the knock-on effect of this animal's life has huge repercussions for other species and the ecosystem. I'll give you an example. A rhino eats about 50 kilos of vegetation a day. Now, if it's a white rhino, it's mostly grass. And if it's a black rhino, they're like the pruners of the bush. They're eating they're browsers. Okay, they're eating the branches and the leaves. But roughly 50 a day, roughly 20 in the dung. That dung, when it's formed, the males all leave it in what they call like a midden in a big pile, and the females scatter it around. As soon as the dung arrives, the dung beetles arrive. And they take it and they form little balls, and they take it away and they put their egg in and they bury it. Who feeds on the larva? Well, I think it's the banded or the slender mongoose. Anyway, it's the mongoose eats the larva. Okay, so that's the first thing that happens. So if there's no egg, then the mongoose will die. Then the other thing is, the knock-on effects are rhinos, as you know, are very large, large vegetarians. They love to wallow in mud. They'll find a little puddle, they'll wallow like this. The mud sticks to them. In those puddles, the terrapins come and eat the ticks and survive on the ticks from the rhino skin. The birds called the red-billed oxpecker survive on the ticks that are on the rhino. And sometimes they're very noisy birds. If you just follow the birds, you will find the rhino. And unfortunately, that's actually how the poachers find them too. So what I'm trying to show you is, do you see that there's a massive knock-on effect? But probably the biggest too is, one, because the rhino move around in big areas, especially the males, their dung is scattered in very many places. So the seeds that are in the dung go out into different areas, okay? And they have found, I think it was Oxford University that did a big scientific study on this, those areas where there are rhino, and they didn't differentiate whether it was white or black, but never mind, just call it rhino, have much healthier ecosystems, more resilient ecosystems than those areas that don't. Here's the other thing that's interesting. They were doing this big thing about climate change. The grass lawns that the rhinos produce, the white rhino, okay? Those are the safety patches when there are bushfires. And tortoise and other very slow-moving animals use those grasses to get out, to protect themselves. So what I'm trying to show you, there's this huge knock-on effect from almost disproportionately to one animal. And this animal sits at the top of the food chain on the herbivore side, along with the elephant. So the elephant and the rhino together, if we lose them, the whole ecosystem starts to disintegrate. I'll give you another example. The wildebeest, you probably know, the massive migrations. The wildebeest thrive on the grass that the rhino has munched. It's the perfect level then for them. So if there's no rhino, you get no wildebeest. Do you see? It's an extraordinary animal that has almost at the top of the pyramid, and all these others depend on it. Massive amount.